అవునా? రేపు ఉంటుందా డ్యూటీ వెనక? తిన్నావా? అతను రమ్మని చెప్పి నీకు ఒకదానికి కొంచెం కష్టంగా ఉంటుంది. ఎవరికే?
So, dear participants,
నాకు కూడా తీసుకుని
okay,
టీచర్కి చెప్పు.
okay, dear participants, yesterday successfully completed. Thanks for your cooperation. So today is the second day. So I want to introduce the today resource person. It is our great privilege
ఎక్కడ
to introduce
నెల్లూరు
today's
తీసుకొచ్చారు
esteemed
మీకు?
speakers. Speaker Dr. B. Madhus, a distinguished academician and a researcher in the field of mechanical engineering with an impressive 25 years of teaching experience, including 17 years in a single institution. He has made remarkable contribution to both academia and research. He holds a PhD degree in mechanical engineering and ME in computer aided design and a BE in mechanical engineering. He has served as a head of the department of mechanical engineering at SC Engineering College, Chennai,
తీసుకొని
during which
వస్తారా?
time the department secured NBA and NAC accreditations under his leadership. He has published over 36 research articles
కాదు బా,
in high impact,
దాచిపెట్టచ్చా?
peer reviewed international journals, indexed in SCIE, Web of Science, and Scopus. His research collaborations extended globally with institutions in Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Singapore, Taiwan, and the UAE. He has a strong research presence with over 1,500 citations on Scopus, Google Scholar, and an H index of 19. Beyond teaching and research, Dr. Madhu has contributed significantly to academic development, having secured research grants, led MSME funded projects, and played a key role in setting up industry sponsored automation laboratories. He is also a recognized PhD supervisor at Anna University for guided research scholars, specifically in solar stills, energy, desalination, and nanofluids. Currently serving as an IQAC head at Valamal Institute of Technology, is actively involved in quality assurance, research coordination, and incubation center development. His expertise, dedications, and passion for knowledge dissemination make him an inspiring mentor and a leading figure in engineering education. It is with a great honor that we welcome Dr. Madhu to share his insights with us today. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the nice introduction. And I would like to thank all the EC department faculties, especially Dean R&D, Dr. B. Sridevi, for organizing this FDP and inviting me as one of the speakers for the session. I also would like to express my very sincere thanks to our principal, our college principal, Dr. N. Balaji, and the vice principal, Dr. S. Soundararajan, for allowing this great FDP to be conducted. Now, before I just wanted to start a session, of course, my allotted topic is systematic literature review, meta-analysis, and also I'll touch on hindsight on improving citations and H-index. Now, this session we're going to more or less not see about what is a systematic literature review, but also we would like to be focusing on some hands-on experiences. I've also planned some hands-on experiences, especially through how to do a very systematic literature review, what is Prisma, and what are the other features, so that it will be anyway beneficial to all the faculty members. Now, this is the outline which I've prepared. You're going to see what is the introduction, systematic literature review steps, how to define research question, search strategy, screening quality assessment, data extraction and synthesis, meta-analysis. What is meta-analysis? Then writing a systematic literature review paper, common challenges and solution, publication impact, etc. Now coming to topic. See, every researcher, what they normally do is they would like to find out a research topic, and to find out the research topic, we need to have an extensive literature review. Now, unless and until we are quite strong and methodological in conducting the literature review, it will be very difficult for us to be choosing the right topic and then do a specific research. Now, every researcher, what they normally do is they tend to publish a review paper. They tend to publish a review paper, and based on the review papers, once you collect some hundreds of literatures, you will get an idea about what the various authors have done it, what is the results which they have obtained it, and then how they've interpreted the data and how those results will impact your research work. And that is what is very important in this literature. Now let us see what is actually literature review. Now, this literature review is an analysis of existing research and literature on a specific topic, providing an overview of current knowledge and what are the research gaps and what are the research trends, what are the ways. Now, when we say about the overview of literature review, it's always a rigorous examination of the existing literatures, what are the methodologies used, what are the strengths and weaknesses of the previous studies, and how do we identify this, because not all researchers who have published their work would have covered every specific area about a topic. Now, they would have left some topic which will be useful for us to be introspect on how we can carry out our research work. Now, what are the types of literature reviews? We have narrative review, systematic review, meta-analysis. So these are the things that we're going to focus. In fact, I'm going to, my session
Recording
is
in progress.
My session is primarily focused on systematic literature review and meta-analysis. Now, what are the different types of literature review we have is, we can say that it's argumentative review, integrative review, historical review, theoretical review, methodological review, and of course, systematic review. Now, we can see each and everything in detail. Now, before we go on to what is systematic literature review, now what is a systematic? This terminology, it suggests that it's a process that is allowed to collect relevant evidence on a given topic and that fits a pre-specified eligibility criteria and to have an answer for the formulated research questions. Now, as the name itself suggests that we're going to do everything about systematic. We're not only going to collect all the literature specific to a particular topic, but also we would like to be focusing on what are the trends that the researchers have found out and how we're going to interpret the data, how we're going to group it. And that is what we're going to do it. In fact, I'm going to present on what, because I have published something like 5 literature review papers. And what is the procedure which I have adopted? Because those literature papers have got, I've got more than hundreds of citations. So in hundreds of citations in Scopus as well as in Web of Science. So what is the procedure which I have adopted in my past literature papers, that also I'll be sharing with you. Now, what is this meta-analysis? Meta-analysis is the interpretation, the usage of the statistical methods that is used in the literature, and because it's not something like a specific software that we need to use it. Even a basic Microsoft Excel itself will be sufficient, which also I'll be showing in a few minutes. Now, that is what see various researchers, what did they study, what is the methodology used, what are their inferences, what are the constraints which they've got, and that is what is meta-analysis. And how, because once you group everything, it will be easy for you to filter it out what exactly your area and how to identify the research gap and how we can work forward. That can be easily done by meta-analysis. Now, the techniques help to generate knowledge from multiple studies in both in qualitative and quantitative ways. Now, when we talk about systematic literature review, we have this term like SALSA, PRISMA and all. Now, the SALSA is very simple. It is nothing but it's search, appraisal, then synthesis and analysis. Now, how are we going to search the various literatures using the various databases like Scopus and other databases, and how we appraise it? That is the predefined how we can include and exclude a particular topic and what is the quality assessment data. For example, when I want to use my research areas not limited to solar still, but what we do is there are different types of solar stills and desalination. For example, we have single slope, double slope, pyramid, etc. And how are we going to filter my research work? So that is what is appraisal. How can include and what to exclude? And then synthesis. Now, once I've extracted, how do I categorize the data? And finally, the analysis. What is the inference from those studies and how that will be helpful? That is what is known as SALSA. Now, what I'm going to do, that is the predefined literature. Now, I've decided to incorporate something like P-SALSA, which is nothing but protocol and reporting result. So, I'm going to modify 2 steps, which the research protocol. That is, what is the research scope? So once we define the research scope, and I report the results stating the procedure, so the salsa is converted into P salsa. So this method is applicable to assess the existing knowledge, trends, and gaps in the ecosystem services. Now, any basic research, any scholars who have registered their research, I kindly request them to please use such techniques so that you will get an idea of the various authors, what they have in their studies, what they have got, what is the advantages, disadvantages of the studies, plus and minuses, pros and cons, everything. If you can just group it into a particular Excel or any database, it will be easy for you to focus on your research work, which will be helpful. That is what a systematic literature review. And meta-analysis is using some statistical inputs. We can have many statistical. For example, you have F-test, P-test, all these things. No, the statistical methods which we've already studied. That will help us to refine our focus. Now, this P-SALSARS method is an explicit, transferable, and reproducible procedure to conduct systematic review work. Now, what do we have in the systematic literature review and meta-analysis? First is introduction, then methodology. Actually, that's Prisma. I'll tell you what is Prisma. Prisma flowchart, then results, which is analysis and presentation with tables and figures, discussion, conclusion, and future agenda is gaps in it. These are the steps in systematic literature review and meta-analysis. Now, this stages of writing a systematic literature review is phase 1 is systematic review planning. So first of all, we need to select a research topic. We need to do a systematic analysis, that is stage 1. And we have to create a study plan, then review studies and review the table of contents, like what I've said. Then phase 2 is systematic review execution. So once we collected all the analysis, all the base work which has been done, then we'll have to form the protocol, which is what is the procedures, what are the methods used for data analysis and search and select studies. And finally, from that, we'll have to use a data extraction. That is the 4th step. And summarizing the findings of studies, extract data, and finally is publication, quality and validation, using meta-analysis of finding, assess quality, synthesize data, and then publishing. Now, this is a sample literature, sample this thing. So we can just have from Scopus database, that is methods for conducting systematic literature review and meta-analysis for, this is a topic, environmental science and research. So you have identification.
Recording in
this
progress.
is advanced query. You can just use this, or you can reset. That is advanced query is, that is what I've given the keywords is solar and stills and desalination. So it can be limited to Kabil, whose Scopus profile, and Satyamurthi's Scopus profile, and Professor Vailrad's Scopus profile, and mine. So show us it is that. And then you can just use the word and or limit to, etc. So this is the advanced query. When you use the database like this, it will be easy for you to filter the results. And then based on this, you can just analyze the results. You can just analyze the results, and you can see what they have documents by these authors per year and what they have studied. You can just see this. What is the document type? The documents by funding sponsors, then documents by country and territory, Egypt, India, then documents by the authors, documents by affiliation. So everything will be listed here. So this is how you just have to do this systematic literature review. So this is how you need to do it. This is a classic example. I'll just go to the PPT. So likewise, you can just see here in this particular slide, when you have a keyword of environmental science and research, then you add these keywords, then you filter that metadata, then it gets reduced, and you have finally 74. So this is how you should conduct a systematic literature review. Now let us see what is this method overview. Yeah. So this method overview, it's undertaking a review of the related literature assessment in an important part of any discipline. Now what we do in this method overview is we use specifically this SLR. How does this SLR differs from traditional narrative reviews is by adopting a replicable, scientific, and transparent procedures. Now when we do this, we get the best results. Now the procedure of SLR is that a systematic literature review is essential, and it done is it should be carefully planned before the actual review work starts. Now this meta-analysis, what it needs is it needs to apply the statistical techniques to derive the results based on multiple results. So this meta-analysis also, I'll just give an example in the subsequent slides. Now what have we just gone through is, these are the steps in systematic literature review. First is online study question, that is protocol and registration, then electronic database search, like what we have just seen, and then title and abstract screening, then full publication review, then hand searching, then data extraction and quality assessment, finally report. Report is the paper which you're going to publish. Now what are the method details? The 6 basic steps in SLR is, first is protocol SLR methodology, which is step 1. Now this SLR, what it does is, it is for the main characteristics is we just have to systematically review all the literatures. Now what it does is this protocol search, it helps to minimize the bias by conducting exhaustive. See, it is very difficult to study the entire, because there will be thousands and lakhs of literatures which will be available in the domain. It will be very difficult for every researcher to filter all those things. So when we do any procedure systematically, it helps us to focus on the topic which we want to read it, and then it will be useful for us to pursue our works and what they're finding based on their findings. So once the research scope is determined, it helps to formulate the research questions and research boundaries to identify the proper research method. Now I could know, once we done an exhaustive literature review, I can see that this is the method which gives a better solution, which gives the better results, so that it will be easy for me to be used those methodology in my research work. Now we say something like PICOC. So this framework, PICOC, is nothing but population, intervention, comparison, outcome, and context. So this is what is one of the important steps in systematic literature review. Now population, it covers about the lakhs of literature or thousands of literature. Then intervention is we just give the keywords, we refine our results. Then comparison, we use to compare what is the various authors, they have done their methodology, and what is the results which they obtained, what is the outcome, who does it serve, and then context. So when we do this systematic steps, what it does is it gives us the better clarity of the work that we are supposed to carry it out. Now the refined objectives of, for example, I'm just taking a topic, mountain ecosystem services. That is what we said as MES. Now this is our research topic. Let us keep this as an example. Now this is a case study. Now what is the refined research questions that so what is the state of art in MES? Which MES types as the highest and least number of studies, which modeling approaches are common to us. These are the questions that we have. So these research questions that the study would answer by following the PSAR, P-SALSAR approach, which I have just said before. Now, next is search methodologies, SLR methodology step 2. Now, this step 2, what it does is, it helps in implementing the PICOC framework, population, intervention, context, outcome, those things which I've just said, comparison, outcome, and context. So this strategy helps to define the appropriate search and string and identify the relevant database to collect the relevant documentation. Now, this SLR searches could be defined and restricted, though the number of databases is significantly determined by the nature of topic. Now, systematic review, as I've said, initially topic selection, then conceptualize and create protocol, searching for studies, then screening for studies, appraising the studies, which is a SALSAR approach, then abstract the data, and then synthesize and interpret the results. Now, let me just show you my paper, what I have done. Because the systematic review, what this slide suggests is what we'll have to be doing it. Now, let me just show an example with the papers. Now, you can just see here, this is the paper which I've said, it's an Elsevier published more than 190 citations, which you have just seen here. So this is the paper which I'm one of the authors who has successfully wrote. Now, the methodology which we adopted is, so this paper is the review of integrating solar collectors to solar stills. Now, there are, see, if you can see the references, more than 70, I guess. 70 references, we would have got it. 1 minute. Yeah. Yeah, 68. Yeah, 70, nearly 70 articles we have filtered it. So what is the procedure which we have done is we use these SALSAR and PICOC framework, and then we used to filter it. So this topic, as it suggests, is the solar collectors is how the solar energy is collected by means of various flat plate collectors and curved collectors, parabolic collectors, and then how it is those energy is transferred to the solar still for getting potable water. That is the review. So this is one of the review papers. So now, what we have done in this review paper is, so we just found this one diagram. What is single slope solar still, then single solar still coupled to flat plate collector, and what are the various? So you can see that this is not our work. So what we have done is we collected those literatures. You can just see this is 26th author who has done this work. They have done this implementation model. So this is the results which obtained by those authors. So what we have done is, instead of, so this paper, writing a review paper, what it helps is, see, when we publish a review paper, so 70 authors, 80 authors who have done their work, when it is combined in one single paper, it will be easy for the future researchers. It will be easy for the other researchers to easily find it out, because they need not go and search again 70 papers. If they read this paper, it will be enough. That is the reason for getting good citations. Now, you can just see here, this is one author who has used this method. So these are the equations, these are the mathematical equations, formulations, which these authors have been using it. Now you can see here that. So we have grouped into all the flat plate characters. This is one author. Photograph of a triple basin. This is one author, 32, who has done this work. So we have grouped every researcher's work, what is their studies and what is their inference. So these are the methodology which they have. What we used is a typical SALSAR approach or P-SALSAR approach, which I have just said now. Now, collecting all those authors who have done this work on this solar still, especially solar collectors to solar still, and what is the results obtained, that is what is the next topic. You can just see it runs around 29 pages, this paper. You can just see these are the results. You can just see these are the results, and we have got it. I mean, the authors have, we have consolidated everything into a single paper. So by doing this, okay, position of valve during experimental. So this is the author who have done, this is the yield which we got it. You can just see they've got something like 7 kg per meter square. That is the maximum work which they have. This is the percentage efficiency, thermal efficiency, and all those things have been listed in this paper. So when we do a literature review, when we do the extra, because this paper got published in the year 2016, I guess, if I remember it right, it was published in the year 2016. And when any researchers, any scholars, before they actually start doing their research work, start doing their experiments, or start searching for their findings, I suggest them to write a review paper first. When you collect the review papers, you get a knowledge of what those authors have done it, and what is the advantages, what is the disadvantages, what are the constraints, and what the inference they got it, and you can just select among the best one, which gives the better results. It will be because you do not want to make the same mistake in your research work as the other. That's the reason why publishing a review paper, every guide these days, every supervisor, I think they insist the scholars to publish the review paper. So you can just see here. So finally we made a comparison. You can just see, I'll rotate it here. Yes. So what we did is we made a comparison. So these are the authors who have done this work, and this is the improvement in the yield location. This is what is a table. Table is which we have prepared, our authors. So based on their work, what is the results which they got it, and what are the remarks, inference from the study. So when we prepare a table like this is exactly what is meta-analysis all about. So when we do a meta-analysis like this is done in an Excel sheet. So when we do this is comparison of yield. Yield is yield of fresh water, percentage improvement, and inference from the study. So when we do a meta-analysis like this, it will be easy for every researcher to find out what the method which gives the better result. Now you can see from this number, you can just see which is the highest number. We talk about the freshwater generation using solar still. I think you can see some author, they've got 16.6 kg per meter square. So this is the one. So we can just use that one. And that author is 32. 32, we can just see here. So when we talk about 32 is, yeah, Sridhar, Raj Srinivasan, Karthik, and Periyannan. So these were the authors. So it will be easy for anybody to find it. So likewise, there is another paper which is integrated PV, that is photovoltaic solar still a mini review. So that is earlier we seen about the solar collectors. Now using the photovoltaic PV panel, what is the inference? How much yield is got? So this is what is this is our table. These are the authors. Where is the testing plate? What is the experimental work done? What is the performance of the still? What is the yield which they've got it? So these are the authors. So this is what a systematic literature review is all about. That is combination of all the researchers who have done their work, who have successfully done their work, and what is the inference which they've got it, and then you'll have to collect it and you'll have to present it in a better way. That is what is literature review. This is another review which I can say it also has something like more than 50 or 60 citations. Multi-retractable analysis for alternative diesel, ethanol, canola, methyl ester, and ternary blend. So it's basically about the alternate fuel. So alternate fuels, we have many papers. So what we have done is we have collected the literatures of around 23 authors, and then we have done our analysis. So let me just go to the PPT again. So these are the different stages. Now, when we go to the next thing, now what is the objectives? What are the objectives of SLRs? That is systematic literature review. What we do is avoidance of research redundancies despite a growing amount of publication. See, that is very important thing. See, why we'll have to do a systematic? Because many people say it's not that we are publishing an article in that particular area. There will be millions of researchers around this world who will be publishing the same topic. So in order to avoid the research redundancies, we'll have to use this systematic literature review. Then it will be easy for us to identify the research gaps and methods when we do a systematic literature review. Then it serves as an input for evidence-based management, which allows us to base management decisions on scientific methods and findings. And then to identification of links between the different areas of research. These are the objectives of SLR. Now, how do we define the research question? Now, you can just see Brenner and Diner. What they have said is they have developed a CMO scheme to establish clearly formulate, because you can see how to conduct a systematic literature review itself. There are thousands of literatures available. How to do a specific literacy, so many authors. In fact, what I'm just covering this session is how to do a systematic literature. There are many authors, thousands of authors who have published how to do a systematic literature review. So that also is available in the various databases. Then the CMO specifically, which I'm quite impressed, is the context. What is the context, intervention, mechanisms, and outcomes? So when we see about the context, which individuals, relationships, what is the then institutional frameworks and systems are being investigated. Then intervention in a particular paper. So the CMO concept, when we adopt it in our SLR, it will be of much more helpful. See, this is something like a meta-analysis. Now, the objective of SLR is to formulate the research questions such as how can a project team be led effectively? Because there are numerous interpretations and constructs for effective leadership and project team. These terms must be particularized. So that is what, under what conditions does leadership style influence the performance of the project teams? That is outcomes. So this is how we should be defining the research questions. Now, these research questions do not necessarily need to follow the CMO scheme, but they should be formulated in a clear, focused, and comprehensible manner and be answerable. Now, what we do with this, when we follow the CMO scheme, now the selection criteria, it will be much more easily grounded. So this can be concluded to conceptual factors such as geographical and temporal restrictions, then congruent definitions of constructs as well as quality criteria. Because when we talk about the literature review, journal impact factor it plays a very significant role, because higher the journal impact factor when you see the literature review, such is the quality of the work, and when we see about higher the impact factor, because those articles published in that particular journal must have received so many higher citations. So when you have higher citations of a particular literature, automatically the quality of paper, because there will be many authors who must have used those papers in their research works. Now, how do we select the database and other research sources? Just now I given an example regarding the Scopus database. There are other databases like ProQuest, EconBiz, that is for accounts and economics. Then selecting the right database itself. In fact, there are many literatures available. Now, see, we talk about the retrieval of data. That is, literature database, as I said, are an important source for research for SLRs. But they can minimize the distortions caused by individual literature selection, that is selection bias. See, for example, right now I've given an example. In my Scopus, I've just limited to these authors. When I said about Kabil, Satyamurthy, and myself, no, I work closely with those people. So it gives that selection bias, because not everyone they are, in fact, they have published some quality research work, but also there are many more authors, millions of authors who have published the same, much more quality works than them. So that is what a selection bias is that. So you'll have to select appropriately. So by doing this literature database survey, one has to find that all database entries on a topic and has a that is retrieval bias low. So besides from the articles from scientific journals, it is also important to include working on papers, conferences, proceedings, etc. to reduce publication bias. Now, how do you define the search items? Right now, I've just given, see, in the Scopus search database, I've just used the keywords like solar still desalinations, then limit to Madhu, limit to Satyamurthy, etc. Now, identification of headwords and keywords. What should be appear in that search? Sometimes now we can specify the author name, but also we can have a keyword. Then different spellings and forms must be searched separately. Then subject headings, we'll have to describe the content generated by the editorial team, etc. Then merging hits from different database. So for example, when we search using a particular database, there will be so many other documents which merge. For example, you can just see that in business source complete, we must first click on the share button and then hit the list, and then email link will come. Then from there we can just download. So this is quite common when we want to download any material from the web source. Now, exporting data from the literature base, for example, EconBiz is one other such database. It is much more complex. Now here we'll have to first create a marked list and then select each hit individually and add it to the marked list. So likewise, we can just avoid the duplicate entries. Then applying inclusion and exclusion criteria. So in the previous example, especially using my database, I've just limited to. You can also, instead of limited to, I can exclude or include this particular researcher, or exclude or include this particular topic. So that is what is inclusion and exclusion criteria in order to search the literature review. Now, all publications, as I've said, it is evaluated in the literature management program, applying the previously defined criteria for inclusion and exclusion. Now, this is what we'll have to do with. So the review process and inclusion criteria should be tested with a small sample adjustments and made if necessary before applying it to all the articles. So yeah, how to perform the review. Now we can just see, I've just shown you the table, for example. I think this is an example which is there. Now we can see the similarities. Let me show this. Yeah, this paper, I guess. Yeah, this table. I was especially mentioning about this table. Yes. What is this type of solar still? What is the reference? Type of study is experimental. Here it is experimental analytical. It is theoretical and experimental. Then theoretical and experimental. If you can group this, this is what is exactly about this performing the review. Now, when we do such review, it will be easy for us to find out what are the various. See, you can just see here. Now, for this particular author, 42, what they have done is they have conducted the experiment in Iran. So the maximum instantaneous efficiency of the solar still with modification was found as 70%. But however, similar the yield on the TEM side is higher than the glass side, as the temperature of the glass TEM side is low. So which means that they have these constraints. So we can find out what is the what they have used it, and what is the experimental, what is the analytical model, what is the numerical model which they have generated in order to get this result. So it will be useful for every researchers to use such methods or to avoid certain things. So that will be helpful. So this is what is the review. We'll have to perform the review. So that is what is explained in this step. Performing the review. When we have a pattern, configuration, similarities, everything it is there. Similarities, as I've said before, experimental, theoretical, those things are the similarities. Now, we have something like this is a classic example. We have so-called concept matrix can be used to structure the content of. I've just used the concept. This is the concept matrix, which is developed by Becker in 2013 in Top Business Process Management. So likewise, if we can perform the review, we can narrow down. Especially this will be much more helpful in the field of medicine, because in the field of medicine, there are so many diseases, especially post-COVID. We have so many doctors and scientists, medical, they have so much challenges in order to find the suitable drug or suitable medicines for everything. So those are the things, if we can group it into, it will be easy for them to retrieve it. Then synthesizing results. So once the review has been conducted, the results must be compiled, and on the basis of these, conclusions derived with regards to the research question. So this is what is mentioned by Fink in 2014. Now, for example, how do we synthesize results is, for example, in that research question, we can see what is the historical development of topics by means of histogram, time series, when and how frequently did the publications on this research topic appear, and overview of journals, authors, or specialist disciplines dealing with this topic. Now, and also when we talk about the synthesizing results, we'll have to have it'll be easy for us to do a comparison of applied statistical methods, topics covered by the research, identifying the research gaps, developing a research framework, developing constructs, performing a meta-analysis, comparison of the correlation. So this is what Fink has suggested. How do we synthesize this result? Now let us see this table. So this is the planning stage. So initial idea formulation, then define peacock. Peacock is nothing but earlier population intervention, comparison, outcome, and context and synonyms. So based on this, we filter the databases, and then we formulate the research questions and select digital library sources that is using, for example, Scopus. Define inclusion and exclusion criteria. Just now I've said about how to use the include and exclude. Then define quality assessment checklist, and then design the data extraction form. So initially these things have been done. We'll get a particular Excel sheet wherein we can just do the second step. The next is conducting, build a digital library research strings, gather studies from these databases, then study, selection, refinement. Now whether the refinement is duplicated, then include or exclude. So this then finally data extraction and meta-analysis and report. Selected papers, then this is what is the procedure. Now key characteristics of a systematic review are, we can say the clearly stated set of objectives, the predefined eligibility of criteria for the studies, an explicit reproducible methodology, a systematic search that attempts to identify all studies that meet the eligibility criteria, an assessment for the validity of the findings of the included studies, for example, through the assessment of risk and bias, and a systematic presentation and synthesis of the characteristics and findings of the included studies. Now, these are the key characteristics of a systematic review. Then we say that a clearly stated set of objectives with predefined eligibility criteria for that is an explicit reproducible methodology. What does it mean? Another research should be able to reproduce your search and results based on the information you supply in your method section. So that is what it means. Now, when we say about an assessment of the validity of the findings of the included studies, for example, through an assessment of risk of bias, which means without the assessment of risk of bias, we and our readers cannot assess the values and credibility of our conclusions. So this is what is the meaning. Then a systematic presentation means make sure we present all your findings in a clear and concise manner, not just the bits that your argument. Because that people have always used to do it. Because generally what we do it is in writing a literature paper, review paper is we tend to use our support. We tend to use our argument. See, we should not, when writing a literature review, I request every researcher to ensure that do not comment on the works of other researchers, because they have done lots of experiments, they have invested a lot of money, and then they have found out certain findings which has been accepted worldwide, and they have published the work. Now, it is not the duty for us to comment on what they were, but what we just have to do is we just have to reproduce the same thing in a different manner. We just should not be using an argumentative word. Instead of that, we should say that this is the author has done this methodology and this is the research findings. These are the advantages and these are the disadvantages, etc. That is how we just have to report it. Because many things, many literature review paper getting rejected, it is because we tend to comment on the work of the other scientists. So that is not a good way to write a research paper. Now, the PRISMA checklist, this is exactly what we do. So what does PRISMA means? Preferred reporting items for systematic reviews and meta-analysis. So this is what is PRISMA. So a good way to ensure that we have covered all the points is conducting a systematic review is to have a PRISMA checklist, that is preferred reporting items for systematic review and meta-analysis. Now, what are the key steps to conduct reviews is we'll have to assemble a team, develop a research question, then set inclusion and exclusion criteria, plan a protocol, construct a search strategy, search across various databases, then search the document, manage the results, publications, then apprise, that is included studies, extract, analyze and synthesis data, and finally we'll have to write and publish the manuscript. So these are the key steps to conduct the systematic reviews. Now, what is meta-analysis? Now, meta-analysis, as I said, it can be used to establish a statistical significance with studies have conflicting results. That is to develop a more correct, precise and estimate of effect magnitude by increasing statistical power. That is, in general, meta-analysis is we just have to make use of the statistical methodologies or the data, and then to find out what is the potential reasons for variability or heterogeneity in the study results. To examine subgroups with individual numbers that are not statistically significant. The final pooled effect. So this is what, let me just say an example. So the key decision can be made at the outset of meta-analysis is whether to conduct a fixed effects of meta-analysis or a random effect. That is, fixed effect means assuming the effect from expected from each study in the same. Then random effects means assuming there is a heterogeneity across the study results. Let us just see a table. I think I've given a table, I guess. Yeah. So this is exactly, you can just see here. This is an example, that is study of group. These are the authors who have done their work. And this is the log, this is the SC, this is the weight, percentage, something. This is from a medical paper which I've taken it. So odds or ratios, you can see 95% CI, that is confidence interval. They've said, and this is the, this graph helps us to identify, to suggest the better medicines or where the increased risk is there, where the decreased risk is there. So these are the findings. If you can group like this is exactly what we have also done it. So in these papers, what we have also done it like this. This is a typical example for meta-analysis as well. Excuse me. Now next is, Publication bias may arise from only including published studies which show positive results, while studies with non-significant or negative results are less likely to publish. Now we can just see here. See, this is log odds ratio, which means in a test, this is a particular example for this paper. Something like it is related to medical terminology. That is, what is it? Asthma in children. This is the topic. So positive results only got published. So because there are many diseases where medicines were not available. So if there are any negative results, it is less likely to get published. So that is what we say it as a publication bias. So the most commonly used method to examine publication bias is a funnel plot. So the top panel, this is the funnel plot, we say it. Symmetrical funnel, we can just see it is symmetrical. When we just divide into half, you can just see left hand side is symmetrical to right hand side. So that is what which indicates no publication bias. Then bottom panel shows an asymmetrical. This is not symmetrical. When you draw a line here, it is totally not symmetrical. So this is what is that the bottom panel that is shows an asymmetrical for where small negative studies in the bottom left corner are missing. That is, you can just see here what is the effect of 0, -1, -2. You can just see from this also. You can just see here. See, we can see many authors, they have 1.5 to 2. You can just see this author, they based on some index, some thing they have published in their work, that has been done. But when it is there in -1, -2, you can see no articles has been published. No articles has been published. This is the matter, but we cannot just rule out that there is nothing like that exists. That is, there may be, see, the asthma for children, there may be a parameter. I don't know what is this parameter. It may be -2 also must be there. But those results are not published because they do not have an intention to publish. So not many journals or this thing, they publish a negative work. They accept the negative this thing. So that is what the bottom panel, you can just see the same values, 1, 2, 3, you can just see here, it is there. Now here, the left hand side, you can just see nothing, no papers have been, these are the dots are nothing but the number of articles published. Number of articles published with these values, 1 and 2 and 3. So this is what is funnel plot. Now, what are the advantages of this meta-analysis? We use explicit and predefined methods to limit bias. Use transparent and replicable, because when we want to do a research work, we should know everything. We should not only focus on the positive results, we should also focus on the negative impact also. So what is this? You see, if this experiment it goes wrong, what is the likely inference that we may be able to get it? So for which we'll have to use transparent and replicable methods that allow reproducibility, then draw more reliable and accurate conclusions based on overall body of evidence, deliver required information to healthcare providers, researchers, etc., and policymakers. So these are the advantages of meta-analysis. Generate new hypotheses about subgroups of the study population, highlight research knowledge gaps, increase precision of the results. Now, when we talk about the disadvantages of the systematic review and meta-analysis, it depends on what was done, what was found, and the clarity of reporting. So reporting quality varies. See, I may be very much focused to use my search only to limit to a particular topic only. But it does not mean that my search is gives the better result. There will be other things which I've excluded. So we have certain flaws. Say, for example, I have done experiments based on solar stills, especially in Chennai. I've not, and also I've used the work of the other co-authors who have done similar experiments in UAE as well as in Singapore and other countries also. The climatic conditions here in Chennai is not the same as the climatic conditions there in the other areas of the other specific locations. So in which case, there are some vulnerabilities in the data which we get it. So we can have, so the meta-analysis also, what happens is, the location, we have some inference flaws, which includes the location and selection of studies, heterogeneity, loss of information on important questions, duplication of publication, and it is also time consuming and resource intensive. Now, how do we do this discussion? So the final step is meta-analysis. You can see, this is a case study which has been taken, animal studies, expert opinion, anecdotal evidence, and then case series and case reports. This is the strength, and case control studies, cohort studies, randomized control trials, then systematic reviews, filtered, and finally this is meta-analysis. So it is, by doing this, it gives the information, invaluable information to all healthcare providers, researchers, and policymakers, given that they are conducted properly. Next is research gaps and future directions. So the areas which need to further strengthening in this field include the registration and publication protocols as a priority, then quality assessments of individual studies using a valid and consistent tools, then publication bias assessment, which I've just discussed right now, then disseminations of findings in less technical and lengthy format and including contextual background and implications to increase policy utility, then more research on how policymakers directly used evidence from systematic reviews in their decision making. Now, what are the take-home messages that we can use to take it for the systematic reviews and meta-analysis? See, SLR and meta-analysis are at the top of hierarchy of evidence and can provide invaluable insights and the bottom line conclusions given that they are conducted properly. So that should very much be important because we'll have to do everything systematically. But at the same time, not all systematic reviews and meta-analysis are equal because we have just seen what are the disadvantages also. So the name systematic review does not automatically mean that the review is of sufficient and high quality. So then the wealth of information we get, more information which will be used for assessing the quality of the studies and also to overall the body of evidence in addition to enhancing the clarity of reporting. So tips for top ranked journals that we'll be seeing it right now. Now, these are the top rank. See, once we gather everything, then next duty is to publish. So how do we find out, how do we rank journals? This is also can be done using the systematic SLR process. So ABS Association, Scopus, International Scientific Indexing, these are all the tools. Then these are all the financial accounting journals, which is there, for example. Then these are all the major management accounting journals. Then these are the auditing journals. So depending on our expertise, we can filter the journals. So it will be useful for us to, because once we do the systematic and literature review and then we prepare a quality, we'll have to identify the suitable journal to publish the research work. So for which also the systematic literature SLR will be helpful. So public sector accounting, government accounting, non-profit accounting journals. These are all the accounting history journals. These are all the samples. How do we conduct this review? Then Journal of Accounting Literature. These are all the other journals which are available. So tips for literature review is, so what is the academic literature review? It is the selection of available documents, both published and unpublished, on the topic which contain information, ideas, data and evidence written from a particular standpoint to fulfill certain aims or express certain views on the nature of the topic and how it is to be investigated, and effective evaluation of these documents in relation to the research being proposed. Now, what is this both published or unpublished, which we say? See, published is the data with our literature is getting publications in the journals, then newspapers, all these things, it is published. So unpublished is, we can see many unpublished works. I mean, it is not published, but it will be there in some, in the web source, either it be in social media account or the certain things, certain findings, those might not be published, but we can also take those things into account. But we need not cite them, but those are the things, because for us to do the systematic literature review, we should also find out the various available information which is available in the net. So why do we need a literature review? As I said, to identify the research gaps, to convince an intended reader that the topic is worth addressing, to highlight the contribution, to understand the research background so that we can clarify the research problem, to understand the relevant concepts and theories, we can just avoid the repetition or replication, to understand different methodologies used in the literature, including data sources, to find out if our findings are consistent with prior research or not. These are things. So this is literature review matrix, which you have earlier said. See, you can see Article 1, Article 2. If this is one, this is literature review matrix, and to an extent you can see meta-analysis also. So Article 1, Article 2, Article 3. Once you've once you've done a systematic literature review and collected all these documents, say 100 documents you've collected or 70 documents, what is their scope? You can just list them in an Excel. This is simple Excel. Then what is the methodology which you have adopted? What are the key findings? What are the limitations of these authors? Contentious issues, contribution to the literature review. By doing this work, what you can just do it is, you can find out the common or similarities existing between the various articles and various researchers. Once, because it will be easy for you to find it out. And then what is their methodology? Like what we have said, I've also grouped it into experimental, theoretical, then experimental, theoretical and experimental, numerical, etc. All these things, we can just group it. This is literature review matrix. And An important observation is we need to cover most relevant and significant literature related to closely to the research questions and objectives. That is, the use of literature summary tables is very useful for writing critical review articles. So that is what is a literature review table, matrix we say. Then critical reading and analysis checklist is for a critical reading. What are the checklists which we do? Does your literature review highlight flaws, gaps, or shortcomings of the specific text or group of texts? Have you identified the areas that have not been researched or have not yet been researched insufficiently? Then does the literature demonstrate a change over time or recent developments that make your research relevant now? So these are the critical reading analysis checklists that we'll have to prepare it. We'll have to find out the solutions, and then only it will be useful for us to write a review paper. Now, what are the criteria to consider? See, next is how do we select a particular journal? So when we select a particular journal, it is because there will be lakhs and lakhs of journals which will be available in the database. How do we specifically select a particular journalist? There are many methods. One, we can just use by ourselves, then our mentors or supervisor, advisor, then colleagues. We can just ask colleagues what they have published, which because it's very difficult, because since there are lakhs and lakhs of journal available, it will be very difficult for us to be choosing the right one. Of course, there are so many databases available which we have just discussed right now, but we cannot just we can also get help from our colleagues and friends also. So what are the types of research article published, whether it's an original research article, review, or a case study? Then length of manuscript, because certain manuscript they encourage something like 29 pages, 10,000 characters, but certain certain journal they'll be limited to 2,000 characters or 3,000 characters, or certain people they won't be, there will be no restriction, certain journals. Now, how do you consider a particular journal is? Right? Then how many years that journal has been standing in publication? What is the cost and availability? That is the journal cost effectiveness, whether it is an open access, what is the peer review status, and what is the impact factors. This is how you'll have to particularly select a particular journal. Then criteria to consider is reputation of the journal, whether the reputation of it, because certain publishers, for example, Elsevier and Springer, Taylor and Francis, those publishers are known worldwide. So that is the reputation. So if your journal is listed among those published, comes under those publishers, automatically it speaks about the quality. Then you can, for a particular journal, what is the acceptance and rejection rates? You can just easily find out from their homepage itself. So journals with lower acceptance rates are generally more prestigious. Then quality of accepted articles and authors. Then audience of journals. Then audience size. So this is how you'll have to select a particular journal. Then time to publication, because when we see a particular journal homepage, they will say that in their mentioned homepage, upon the date of submission, within 90 days, first review will be there. Then the subsequent rate they'll publish within 5 months. So likewise, it will be there. So based on those parameters also, you can select the particular journal. Now you just have to know about this Professor Eugene Garfield, PhD. Now he is an information scientist. He is the one who proposed citation indices in 1955. He is the one who suggested about the journal impact factor in 1960. Now he worked for Institute for Scientific Information, and then he is the one who's particularly given importance to Journal of Citation Reports. Then what is Web of Science and Knowledge? It is purchased by Thomson Reuters. Now it has been taken out by Clarivate Analytics. Now the birth of Science Citation Index is in 1955. You can just see here as a tool in journal level, because that speaks about the quality. Because when you want to publish a particular research work, you should know what is the quality of that particular journal. So what is the journal impact factor? What they say is, journal impact factor is, it reflects about the average number of citations to recent articles published in that journal. Now, when we say high impact factor, means it is the quality, it speaks about the quality journal. For example, if A is the number of times an article published in 2021 and 2022 and were cited by index journals in 2023, then B is the total number of citable items published in 2021 and 22. A by B will be the 2023 impact factor. So this is how the impact factor is getting calculated. So an impact factor of 1 means that on an average, the articles published, all they have to see in a year, something like thousands of articles may be published by the journal. So at least if an impact factor of 1 means all the articles must have cited at least 1 time. So that is what it means. So impact factor of 2.5 means that on an average, the articles published in the journal are not to have been cited 2.5 times. That is what is journal. So then we have journal citation reports. That is another tool for us to be doing a systematic literature. This is how you should be doing the journal citation reports from Thomson's Insights Web of Science. You can select the particular journal. Like what I've just seen here, include, exclude strategy. So when these are the journals ranked by top impact factor. How to do, you can just select your particular study, what is the particular topic, and you can just select that category and then find out how much, what is the quality of those journals. You can do this. So this is the journal impact factor. It is available in Scopus. Of course, you'll have to use the institutional login in order to get it. Then other considerations for a journal is eigenfactor, then alternative metrics and other rankings. So an eigenfactor is a rating of the total importance of a scientific journal. So it considers the origin of the incoming citations, then reflects how frequently an average researcher would access content from the journal. Then journals generating higher impact to the field have larger eigenfactor scores. So eigenfactor scores adjust for citation differences across disciplines, calculated based on the citations received over a 5-year period. This is about the eigen. Then other rankings of include Scopus, that is SJR, SkyMago journal rank, and IPP, the SNIP, then percentage not cited. So these are the way, these are likewise, you can just select the particular journals for your publishing your research works. So the science of trashing a paper, how a paper can be rejected is there are many ways. One, if it is unoriginal, it may be rejected. Then if the hypothesis is not tested, it will be rejected. Then different type of study is required means it may be rejected. Then if your research work is compromised on original protocol, it will be rejected. If the sample size is too small, when you do a literature review, you take only 15 papers or 10 papers and then write a review paper, it will be rejected because the sample size will be too small. Then if it is poor meta-analysis, poor statistics, if it is used, it may be rejected. If it is unjustified conclusion also, it will be rejected. Then if there is a conflict of interest, there is a chance. So conflict of interest meaning is if you write in an ambiguity style, there is a high percentage that your article will be rejected. Then if it is badly written, excuse me, then unimportant issue also, it may be rejected. So this is the journal publishing process. See, there will be many people. So what I suggest is, earlier on when you try and write a paper, initially before you establish yourself, I kindly suggest you to join with the established persons and then submit the research articles, because there will be many, even if it is a quality research, because I've been acting as an editor in so many journals. So what we generally do is, when someone submit a research work, we see about the quality of the author. So if the quality of the author, if they have not published any research articles, automatically no, the editor will be rejecting that. But if you collaborate with the other leading researchers, it will go to the next level for referring, that is peer reviewing. Then peer reviewers, there is every chance that they will accept or they may reject it. Some peer reviews, they will reject it directly. Some peer reviewers, they will say that you revise these concepts and then you resubmit again. So if it is submission, if they have submitted, once we submit the revisions which has been suggested by the reviewers, if they are not satisfactory, they might reject it, or they might also accept it, or they will ask you to work more and then submit it. There also rejection is possible, and finally only it will be published. So this is the journal publication process. So why do we evaluate the scientific input is because as researchers, because we need the good citations, we need good H-index, because it speaks about the quality of the particular faculty, particular researcher. Because once you have a good citation, good H-index, it speaks about researchers, that is, you have published papers. It not only brings in quality, but also it helps in grant selection, because you submit research proposals, you have a good applications, good number of
అదే ఉందా
sites.
లేదా
It
ఇప్పుడు
will help.
కొంతమంది కానీ కొంతమందికి పక్షపాతం ఉంటది,
Excuse me.
వాళ్ళకి
Hello?
కవర్ అవుతాయి, అవి చూస్తారు మెయిన్.
Sir, can you mute, sir?
కదా ఏదైనా ఇంప్రూవ్ అయ్యింటే అలాంటిగా.
Sir, can you mute? Yeah. If the publication is very good, you see, if the citations, if the H-index is good, automatically it will help in grant allocations. You can submit for research proposal where the probability of getting funds will be much more higher than policy decisions, benchmarking, promotion for the faculty, collection management, funding allocations, research, making the right investments, all these things. So we have to evaluate the scientific output. So before we start writing, we will have to ask what, where, and how. What should we do? What is my messages? If the editors cannot work out your single take-home message, they will reject your paper, because some papers, no, it will be, even if you read everything, it will be very difficult for us to be understanding what exactly the author want to convey. So they will also reject if you haven't convinced of your studies' importance. Where will the paper end up? See, you write a paper for whose benefit? We should not write a paper merely for publishing alone. It should be which audience should be targeted. So that must be there. So you must choose a journal and write for the journal's audience. So make sure the journal publishes your type of study. What does this audience already know about this topic, and what do they want to know? Read the author guidelines specific for the journal you're submitting it to. Then read and follow the journal's author guidelines and style guide. So this is how will I write a paper? Then what editors look in for a manuscript? First, they look for a quality, that is good science. It should be well planned. It should be a well executed study. It should be presented well, so that the editor will be looking. Then significance and originality, they'll be checking it out. And then consistent with the scope of journal, then demonstrated broad interest to readership. Will that, see, every editor will be specifically keen on improving the impact factor of the particular journal. So when they decide to publish, they will have a check that whether it will be cited. So how will they check whether it has been done by a quality person or a person with an established person with valid citation and H-index? So when they publish a book, automatically the citations will also improve. Then whether it is a well-written story, and what is the author enthusiasm, all these things. Then how do we attract the editor and reader is, there are many ways to attract it. See, there are lots of, actually majority editors, no, they will reject your paper. But what we have to do is, we'll have to select the proper title. See, the title should not be something like very fancy or these things. You'll have to have a brief, interesting, and accurate title. Then abstract is the paper. See, everybody, they read the abstract first. They may not be having time to read all the 29 pages or 30 pages or even 10 pages. So when they study the abstract, automatically the editor, they will get an idea. So it attracts readers to your paper. Then aim for form section, that is 4 section, that is why, how, what, and implication. That is, what is the existing method, why you have to use this, do this particular research, what are the works which has been done by various persons, then what the results and implications. So we'll have to include important keywords for searching, make it clear and easy to read it. So tips to publish your work in journal with high impact factor is, if you see a high impact factor, you will find it, they are well arranged, focusing, interesting, perspective, and quality work is there. Now, how one can make your work more qualified is to get published in high impact. What we'll have to do with this, it should have a strong title, information and discovery should be there. Underestimation of title will lead to rejection of the work. So we'll have to ensure that strong title attracts editors and readers. Now we'll have to make good use of the figures and tables, and must include schematics. Many readers will directly jump to figures and tables, because that's normal, isn't it? When we see a literature, we'll normally directly go to the results and discussion. So that should not be there. We should and that should also be there, but we'll have to write a paper in such a way that each and every section is quite interesting to read it. Then tips to publish your work in a journal with high impact factor is, that is continued is, that is your research work must be robust and solve a significant problem. Write a clear abstract summary of your research article. One must write consciously, clearly, and with succinctly. Focus on your productivity. Collaborate with experienced scientists or researchers. Follow the journal's instruction carefully, because when the journals know, they'll have a specific instruction, something, they will say that figures and tables should be at the end, but we'll include it in the middle. So those things we should not do it. Respond honestly to the comments of the reviewers. Do not respond immediately. See, that is what there are many people. We'll get a review. That is, we get the reviewers' comments. We use the artificial. What we do is, We use the artificial AI tools like ChatGPT, and then we immediately do it. So that should not be there. I think somebody is. Then research article, plenty of ways to get your research out into the world, from broad scope open access journals to preprint platforms. So our interest is to publish our work in a journal that score high citation based matrices. Then researchers, we have less awareness, assessment process, and high impact factor. So we'll have to use a systematic search. There are some techniques and strategies that you can use to ensure your work and has the best chance of finding an appropriate journal. So this is how we'll have to select a particular journal. Then how do you prepare a manuscript is, ask yourself these questions before you begin. Have you done something new? Is there anything challenging in your work? Will your results influence other researchers? Have you provided any solutions to some difficult problems? If you can answer is yes, then to some or all of the above questions, then it's a good time to share your research and start the preparation. So now our topic is, since it is limited to SLR and meta-analysis, what we generally do is, in order to find out, we use the search like Salsar and other search methodology, and then we find it out. Then we just have to group it. So, and then you select a particular journal, and you'll have to, the journal objective should be there. And your article should fulfill the objective of that, because when the journal is there, they'll always have their aim and scope. Scope of journal will be there. So we'll have to ensure that our article it fulfills the aim and scope of that particular journal. Then our paper should have a clear scientific message. See, even if it is a review paper which we write it, so it does not mean that we just have to reproduce what is the work done by various researchers. We just have to give a very clear scientific message so that the readers will be quite attracted. Then manuscript format is as per the journal instruction, because we just cannot change to our own format. So we'll have to definitely follow the methodology given. There is format given by the journal guidelines. Then title and abstract. So title is succinct action verbs which should be free of obscure abbreviations and to the point. Abstract should be clear, interesting, understandable, accurate, specific, and to the point. So ensure that our title and abstract do not misrepresent your research work or mislead the readers. So keywords should be important. Then what's the story means? We should have to find a simple and concise way to tell our story through our manuscript. Ensure logical layout of arguments and flow of experiments, and do not forget to make use of summary statements. Now, question, we should not ask any questions. See, in our paper, that I've seen it when my students used to submit the research work, they will be asking questions. So our paper should provide answers. So that also we should keep in mind. The most important section which everybody will be keen to look into is write an effective results section. That is results and discussion section. So we should have a perfect, what is our findings? Then effective results section is, it's clear and easy to understand. It should feature unexpected findings and provide statistical analysis and justification for our research. So we must use paragraph headings to describe concrete findings, and use similar headings for the figures, legend titles, etc. So we'll have to tie together our results with the discussion and make the discussion correspond to the results. We should not be using any ambiguity. When we say that the results, we got this much percentage as the efficiency, we'll have to justify that. What is the reason for which to get this percentage? So the reasoning justification should be evident in the results and discussion column. So this is one of my papers, wherein what we do is we'll have to, this is the analysis which we have made. So what we have done is, where is our work? Present study is this last work. You can just see that. So these are many authors, they've used this methodology and got this results. And this is the results which we got it. And I've explained PCM increase the energy storage and potentially improved water yield. So we got the daytime and nighttime. So 4 PCM used and 3 PCM used. Phase change material. PCM means phase change materials used in hemispherical solar still. 3 PCM. So what is the results which we got and how much efficiency it is? When we can clearly describe like this and compare it with the previous authors in their study, so it will be of helpful. So this is the work, LCR work. It got around 50 citations. Last year it was published. My name is there here. And this is another work in my research, in another paper which we have published, myself and Mechatronics HOD, we have jointly published. So this is our present, where is the present study? Yeah, this is 4 and 5 is the present study that is using, we used nano fluids like aluminum oxide and copper oxide and zinc oxide. So we got the aluminum oxide as a better results. We got 4.4 and 5.575 kg per meter square. So this is how your results and discussion table should be there along with the graphs. So most important thing is which people tend to neglect is how to write a good covering letter. So when especially this is the header, this is the headache for all the corresponding authors, because corresponding authors is the one who will be submitting the manuscript to the journal editors. So when we write a good covering letter, we'll have to use a covering letter by stating why you think the paper is good fit for the journal, because your research work, it should match with the aim and scope of the journal. So we should include additional background information that is relevant but does not fit in your abstract. So we should write a cover letter in such a way that focusing on answering why you think the question you set out to address is important and why or what you found is so exciting. So we should also inform this if there is any controversy or competition that we must know about. So this is what. So another thing is plagiarism. Of course, with the usage of AI tools, so many AI tools, I think right now also there is a big conference which has been going on in France, wherein our Prime Minister is going to participate about the AI revolution which is going to happen till 2030. That India is going to be one of the pioneer in AI. So there are so many AI tools, so many people used to get the literatures, but the journalists also, they have advanced, they use the find out that whether it is written by the human or whether it is written by AI. So we'll have to find out the plagiarism. So how to identify, avoid plagiarism is, that is, we'll have to use the correct paraphrase. We cannot just use cut copy paste. That is not the thing. So of course we'll have to put it on our own words. Of course there are softwares available. There are many paraphrasing softwares available like Quillbot, Grammarly. We can make use of that, but it should be our work basically. So whenever we want to give credit, we'll have to use a perfect citation also. We'll have to use the give the author credit. That is, when we use the quotes, of course, we can cite that author. Many people use Wikipedia, and Wikipedia is not a good source of reliable information. All Wikipedia is, it needs a valid email ID. You can easily create an email ID and then you can edit whatever you want in Wikipedia. So that is not a reliable source for us to be quoting any literatures when we submit to a particular journal. So, it's a good place to look for links, but never use it as a source in our own works. So I've given some paraphrasing examples, of course. So this is the paragraph, how to paraphrase. Original work is just before 8 on the morning of December 7, 1941, hundreds of Japanese fighter planes attacked the American naval base at Pearl Harbor near Honolulu, Hawaii. The barrage lasted in just 2 hours, but it was devastating. The Japanese managed to destroy nearly 20 American naval vessels, including 8 enormous battleships and almost 200 airplanes. More than 2,000 American soldiers and sailors died in the attack, and another 1,000 were wounded. This is from the history topics, which we got at Pearl Harbor. Now, the same things, how it is paraphrased. On December 7, whether it is correctly paraphrased, same thing, but it is not different, but it is paraphrased differently. On December 7, 1941, hundreds of Japanese bombers attacked the American naval base at Pearl Harbor. The bombing lasted about 2 hours. The Japanese managed to destroy 20 ships, including 8 battleships. Whether it is paraphrased correctly, I don't think it is no. Because even though the student researcher deleted a few words and changed around, there is a lot of words is there. So we'll have to paraphrase in such a way that it should be, it should not be, we should have less plagiarism. Less than 10% is what is accepted. Then scientific integrity and trust. So reason for retraction is, during the second revision of the manuscript, the authors modified figure 1, changing the label from Israel to historical Palestine. So reason for retraction should be there. What is the, see, there these days, no, once the paper is published, there are many papers which got retracted. So what is the reason is, what generally the researchers they do is, suppose if any of the researchers they found out that this article has already been published, they will write an email to the particular journal. See, suppose for example, my work is same work, my paper has been published by another author. What I'll do is, I'll write a mail to that journal editor that why did you publish this work? because it was already published 6 years before. They have used the same methodology and they are published. How can you do it when we can write an email? Automatically, the publishers will retract it. So the editors and chiefs take a strong view on this matter, and hence the retraction of this article. So this is one of the reasons. An example which I gave. You can just see one paper. I've just taken it retracted matching pursuit based approach for ultrasonic flaw detection. It has been originally accepted, published, and then it has been retracted. Reason for retraction is this article is virtually identical to the previous published article of these authors in 2005. So that is there. This is the retracted paper. So you'll get a retracted seal, which means that you cannot claim for publication for anything. So 10 rules for getting your articles published is read many papers. That is many important. Many people tend to do this literature survey. So we'll have to read many papers and learn from both the good and the bad ones. The more objective you can be about your work, the better the work will ultimately become. Then it should become, you good editors and reviewers will be objective to your work. If you do not write well in the English language, take lessons early, it will be invaluable later. Then we should, as a researcher, we should learn to live with rejection, because not always that when you submit your manuscript to the journal, it gets published. For me also, there are so many rejections. Yesterday also one paper rejected for me. So we just have to accept with rejection. Then understand what makes a good science and what makes a good science writing. Be objective about them. Start writing the paper the day you have the idea of what questions to pursue. So become a reviewer early in career. Decide early on where to try to publish your paper. So quality of the paper and not quantity is everything. So another thing is journal versus author. So we should know something about H index. So Professor George E. Hirsch, based on his name only, H index is the term which has been obtained. So H index is, it rates a scientist's performance based on his or her current publications as measured by the lifetime number of citations each article reviews. So it depends, H index, it depends upon the both quantity as well as quality of a scientist's publications. So definition is how, that is, a scientist has an H of H index, N papers and have at least H citations, and the other N equal to they have. So let me just explain with this example. So H, or another example is that, yeah. So how to calculate H index is, suppose this document, that is, I have published something like 9 papers. So first paper has got 55 citations, second paper has got 45 citations, third paper has got 20 citations, and so on and so forth. So what will be the H index is, you can just see here, at least all paper has got a minimum citation of something like, you can just see here, 5. All papers, see, all papers have got a minimum citation of 5. So that is how you calculate an H index of 5. Now here, in this particular, this author has published only 4 articles. So this all paper has got a minimum citation of 6. That is, so the H index is 6. So an author has published 5 published articles. Article 1, 5 citation, Article 2, 10 citation, Article 3, 100. So which means all papers got minimum of 4 citations. So which means H index is 4. So there are 4 papers with at least 4 citations. So this is how H index is calculated. Then you will have to have citation clubs. So how to increase your citation is, you will have to collaborate with the people who have highest citation and H index. Automatically, if you collaborate with their work, your article also, because the editor, they looks for the profile of the authors. So when they are convinced, they will publish a paper. So that is how you should do it. So how to boost citations of your published work is, cite your past work when it is relevant to a new manuscript. But adhikaga we cannot just publish, we cannot cite all our previous articles. So we'll have to carefully choose our keywords. What is relevant only, we can just quote it, we can cite it. So we'll have to use the keyword. Then we will have to use a consisting form of our name in all papers. So using the same name on all papers will make it easier for others to identify, because my name is B Madhu, because sometimes it will be written as Madhu B or Balasubramanian Madhu, etc. So if it is mentioned as Madhu or Madhu B, it will be for all papers. It will be useful for the authors to audience to identify, okay, this is Madhu's work. So similarly, make sure that your information is correct. Make sure that your manuscript is easily accessible. We'll have to share our data. We'll have to present our work. So how to contact through various researches, we have so many social medias available. So institute profile page is there, Facebook, Twitter. We have to get the links, ResearchGate, LinkedIn. Then we'll have to actively promote our work. So that is how you get many contacts and you can collaborate with other international authors. So ORCID. So ORCID is an open non-profit organization run by and for research community. In fact, you should have an ORCID. We provide research with a unique identifier. It can be linked to Scopus. It can be linked to Mendeley. Then hundreds of systems have now integrated ORCID IDs. Then form grant application, etc. So by pooling the know-how and influence of the international research community, we can deliver a huge step forward to openness and reliability of research information. With this, I'd like to thank everyone for patiently listening to this, and I'm open to all questions. Thank you. Hello, sir. So is there any questions that I need to answer? Please let me know, sir. Any questions to anyone? I'll be happily to answer.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have one doubt.
Yes, sir. Please.
You are trying to find out quartile of a journal. We are having multiple websites like Scopus, Clarivate, and
Yes, sir.
Shimago.
Yes,
Which
sir.
is best one? Because the issue is one of the university, I don't want to name, they are insisting us to use only WOS info website.
Okay.
WOS
WOS.
info,
Yes, sir. Yes,
which I came to know that it is a third party website which is having no direct connection to or any contact with Scopus or Web of Science. Whereas direct
Yes,
Web
sir.
of Science, we have Clarivate, we have Scopus website, we have, and Shimago JR is there. So which is better?
Yes, sir. Sir, actually, Clarivate Analytics have taken over the Web of Science. Right now, there is no Web of Science. Clarivate Analytics have taken over. So whatever the Clarivate Analytics suggested, that is what we'll have to use it, sir. Of course, what is it? Just SkyMago journal rank is there. Then we'll have to search the journal bar. So many journal name in that search bar, and everything it is there. But in order to have a big quartile of journal, Q1, Q2, and Q3, Q4, it is always best to refer to the Clarivate Analytics because they have taken, because they are the what is they use the perfect citation, because the citations given in Scopus, it is Google Scholar, it is not valid. Only what is given in by the impact factor of a particular journal is given only by Clarivate Analytics. JCR is provided, that is by Clarivate Analytics only. So we'll have to visit the Web of Science. I'll show the link, sir. I'll show the link. I'll post the link right now, sir, in that chat box. You can just use the journal selection, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Welcome, sir. Chat box, I'll post it, sir. There's a message. 1 minute, sir, I'll post it. There's a chat box. Yes. So I think I posted. No, it's not going. Oh, thank you. Thanks for everyone. So is there any question for anyone, sir? Please let me know, or even in the chat section also. Kind request to organizing your team. Can you share the yesterday and today PPT? Yeah, we'll definitely share the PPT, sir. No doubt. So
Sure, sir. We will send. Sure, sir. We will send the yesterday PPT.
Sir, I'm not able to send any messages. Yeah, I've just sent, sir. Clarivate Analytics, you need to search in Google, sir. It will lead to the page, sir. So whatever the information which is provided in the, see, I'll show the link. I'll share the screen, sir. 1 minute, sir. For the benefit of the, I'll share the screen to Google. Where is this? Yeah. So is yes. So is the share visible, sir? Is screen visible?
Yes, sir, visible.
Visible only, sir.
Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. 1 minute. So I'll just use Web of Science. Yeah, Web of Science journalist. Yes, Web of Science master journalist. If you use it, I think Web of Science by Clarivate Analytics. I think this. Yeah, refine your search. You can just search. For example, I'll use desalination. If you can search it, it will be useful, sir. What journal, whether it is, you can see the whether it is Elsevier, it is index, Science at SCI journal. So you can just view the profile pages. So whatever they have given in this Clarivate, it is, you will have to register it, of course. So likewise, only you just have to search it, sir. Sorry. Yeah, tell me, sir, any other questions, sir? So, ma'am, any questions, please let me know. So, can we have a photograph, sir? Can everyone open your camera for a minute? So we can have a snapshot. I request everyone to open your camera. Please, I request all the participants to open your camera so that we can have a yes. I request others to switch on your camera, please. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Yes, sir. Any other questions, sir? So any other questions,
Participants, any questions? Any doubts?
sir? Ma'am.
Hello, sir. Madhu, sir, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Very good morning. You have given
Morning,
an excellent session, sir. Actually, really
Thank you,
very
sir.
informative. Of course, I'm a professor. I know some of
Thank
the
you, sir.
concept. Yeah, still, I'm learning from new things from your session, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And it is really an informative session for the newcomers to the research. Excellent
Yes, sir.
session. I'm really happy. Actually, can you give some tips to avoid self-plagiarism, sir? I think you.
Yes,
Hello.
sir.
Yeah, self-plagiarism.
Yeah,
How
yes,
to
sir.
avoid self-plagiarism? Yeah. It is a difficult topic to handle, sir. Please.
Yeah, actually, self-plagiarism, sir. What we'll have to do it is, see, when it is essential, we'll have to go. In fact, I've also cited some of my previous research work. But at the same time, I ensured that if it is specific to my new work, which I'm going to submit, that is only we'll have to use it. But many researchers, what they tend to do it is, they tend to cite their own papers, self-plagiarism. So that
Just for
needs to be
increasing citation, yeah.
Yeah, unless and until it is essential, it proves your new work. I suggest you to, because there are many agencies, you go for NIRF rankings and other things, they, of course, they talk about the self-citation also. They
Yes.
exclude the self-citation also. Yes. So that is that. So, but certain things you can admit, because if your current research work, it proves that it is essential to cite your previous research work, then there's no harm in quoting that work. There is citing that work rather. But it's not that we'll have to reduce it, sir. So there, unless and see the editors and all, they don't generally see that way. What they generally say is the quality of the work which has been presented. So if your past work is very much essential, it can be easily cited, sir. But of course, there are some agencies which they exclude the self-citation. But in general, no, because every institution, they focus on their NIRF rankings and other things. So for which self-citation also gets...
Yes.
Yes, that is there, sir.
Okay, sir.
But
Thank
for
you. Thank you.
publications, it is, we can quote. For publications, we can cite it, sir. There is no harm, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Please.
Welcome, sir. Welcome, sir.
Mm.
Welcome, sir. Sorry. So, any other questions, ma'am? So, any other questions, sir? Any other questions, sir, ma'am? Sir, Shanmughat, sir, can we?
Sir, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, I will post the attendance in a few minutes, sir.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. I
Okay,
thank
sir, that's all.
everyone, especially the organizers, Department of ECE and Research and Development, in which I am also a part, for giving me this opportunity to take a session on this particular topic, systematic literature review and meta-analysis. I hope
Sir.
this session will be helpful to everyone.
Sir, I
in
have
writing
to
a
say
quality-
thanks, sir. I have to say thanks to you, sir. A big thanks to
Thank you,
Dr.
sir.
Madhu, sir, for delivering such a
Thank you,
wonderful and enlightening session today. We truly
Thank you, sir. Thank
appreciate
you,
your
sir.
time and effort is guidance us through the topic of
Thank you, sir.
systematic literature review and meta-analysis. Your insight and experience has truly enriched our understanding of the SLR. Thank you once again, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Dear participants, wait few minutes. I will send the attendance link now.